Parents talking to children is easy, but today we'll see how a child component talks back to the parent using signal outputs. We already passed data from parent to child using signal inputs, and the child now needs to notify the parent about user actions. For example, when a user clicks on this like button inside this card component, the parent must know about it without tightly coupling the components. This is how we used to do it with EventEmitter, and although it works, it doesn't fit the signal first world. Now, what is a signal output? A signal output is a typed event emitter that doesn't store state, it only notifies to the parent. Now, let's see how this works. In the child component, that is our postcard component, as we already created in our earlier lecture, we have the postcard component, and that is our child component for the post list. Okay, the post list is our parent component. Now, from here, I want to pass data, that is, if any one of the post is liked, then the parent should be notified about that, right? There should not be any change inside our postcard component because the parent owns the states, and the data should be modified in the parent component only. We will notify the parent whether the post is liked using the button that we have created inside the postcard component.html file over here, and we will increase the count every time it's liked. So we will start by creating a click event over here, right? So I'll just add a click event over here on the button. Okay, so you see GitHub Copilot suggesting me that there should be a click event with a method that should be attached to it, that is like post. Okay, so I'll just accept that, and I'll create a like post method inside our postcard.ts file. Okay, with that event that is being passed using the click event. Okay, so I'll just add it over here, like post method, and within that I'll add the event of type event. Okay, and once I have added the method, I'll just first of all I'll stop propagation for the event that is coming from the click event, because the click might be appearing on the whole postcard component. So I want to have the click event of that particular button element only. Alright. Once I have added the stop propagation, now I want to pass an event from the postcard component, that is our child component, to the post list component. Okay. So I'll just add an event over here, that is our output event. It will be like, and now to create a output event, you should call the output function that should be coming from the @Angular core. So I'll just call the output function over here, right? Once I call the output function, I want to send the type of this output event that should be coming into the parent component. Okay, so I'll just add the type over here as number, because I want to pass the ID of this post. Okay, because based on the ID, I'll just increment the like count. Okay, so I'll just add a semicolon over here. Okay, so now you see GitHub Copilot suggesting me that I should call this .like.emit, but I do not want to call that. I just want to pass the ID from here. Okay, so I'll just add this .like then .emit. Okay, and within that you see now this is correct, this .post.id, but post is an input event, so I'll just add a parenthesis over here. Okay, so now it's correct, and our ID is being passed from the child component to the parent component. Okay, once we have emitted our liked event from the child component, the parent listens to the signal outputs just like the DOM events. For example, click event or input events, same as we have seen in our event binding section. Okay, now the parents owns the state over here and decides what to do with the event. Okay, so I'll just add like event over here. Okay, so once we have subscribed to the like event coming from the postcard component, that is our child component, I'll just call a method that should be there inside our post list component. You can directly call the post object like ++ increment over here, but we'll not do here. I'll just create a method inside our postlist.ts file, and I'll call that method over here, right? So what I'll do, I'll create like post method and like. Okay, so the like post method will be having a event that should be coming from the output event that is being passed inside our postcard.ts file. Okay, that postcard.ts file has passed the post ID. Okay, so that post ID will be coming inside this $event. Okay, so I'll just create a function inside our postlist.ts file. Okay, now we have created the function, and what I'll do, I'll just add the ID. That ID should be number. Okay, and that ID is basically the event that is being coming from the postcard.ts file. Okay, now once we have created the method like post inside our postlist.ts file with the ID that is coming from the postcard.ts, what we'll do, we'll just update the post list. Okay, So to update the post list, I'll just call the post list with the update function. Remember, I already mentioned that you should never use, or you should avoid using set function when there is an update based on your previous data. Okay, so here I want to update based on my previous data because there might be already a like, and the like should increase now. It should not update it directly. So I'll just use the update function over here instead of set function. Okay, so here we'll have the previous state of this post list. Okay, the previous state, and within that previous state I'll just return this previous state with the likes of that particular ID of the post. Okay, so what we'll do, I'll just use the map function that is being suggested by the GitHub Copilot. Okay, with the map function we'll have the post. Okay, so that individual post will have a ID. Now I'll check if the post.id is same as the ID that is coming from the postcard.ts file. Then for that particular post I'll just increment the likes count. Okay, so this will increase the likes count of this individual post which matches with the ID that is coming from the postcard.ts. Okay, so I'll just return the post over here. Okay, so once we have added the post, once we have returned post inside our post list update function, I'll save this and let's see in the browser if that is working. So here we have, as you can see, we have the like button over here. So if I click on that, okay, so this increases the count from 0 to now 1. You see the likes count are increasing. Okay, so we have passed the event from the child component inside this parent postlist.ts file. Now if there are multiple events that you are passing from your postcard.ts file, you should rather pass a single event. For example, if there is a delete button over here, you should not add a different method for that. You can directly pass a single post action, and within that you can just pass the object of that particular action that you are going to refer. Okay, for example, you can have the post action over here. Okay, for that you should add a output, and now that the type should be an object. Okay, or what type of action that you want to emit from this child component, and for that particular event what payload or what data that you want to pass from here. Okay, so this is how you can create a post action instead of emitting multiple events from your child component. Now you should never emit an event from the child component, emit an output event from your child component inside a computed or effects function, because they should always stay pure. The computed and the effects function should always stay pure, and this will avoid the infinite loop condition. So when you combine signal inputs and outputs, you get predictable unidirectional data flow. So this is what a clean signal based child parent component looks like. I will add the scale CSS property to our like button inside our postcard.scss file. Okay, .btn as like. Okay, and I'll add just active over here. So once user click on that, the active property will get triggered of that btn liked. That is our CSS that have been added on side our button. Okay, so we'll just add the transform, and I'll just add 1.1 over here. Okay, so once saved, let's see in our browser. So this is showing effect that the button is clicked and the post is being liked over here. It is also increasing the liked count as we have created the output event emitter from this postcard component inside our postlist.ts file. So now our poster application uses signal inputs for passing data from parent to the child, and signal outputs for sending user actions back from the child to the parent. This gives a clear, predictable and unidirectional data flow where the parent owns the state and child only communicates the intent. With this approach, we no longer need EventEmitter for most application level components, and our code stays more reactive, more readable and easier to maintain. If this video helped you understand modern child to parent communication in Angular, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the Frontend course, because this poster series is building a complete production ready Angular application step by step. I'll see you in the next one.